Okie dokie, so we're going to try to do this again. We're going to try to break the spell that the Republicans have put upon the country. Right? That's the goal here. So, we're going to have a couple things here that we need to remember. The root of all evil. Right? This is the first one. So let me explain to you. I'm going to start typing in all these things that were created in our world because of a lust for profit, and a lust for personal profit, and a lust and love for money. These are the things that were brought into our world as a result of this. So tobacco, worldwide addiction, So this was created by this love of money, this desire for profit, created this tobacco addiction, alcohol, worldwide addiction. So these are all created by this desire for profit and desire for gain. We're making more stuff than ever before. So you have, tobacco, you have alcohol, you have mass production of cocaine. This was like the 60s, the 50s, somewhere around there. Mass production of heroin. This was earlier. I think this would have been earlier than that even. I know that heroin was used, on soldiers in I believe the Vietnam War. They used heroin to numb the soldiers when they were injured in battle. To do amputations and I don't know if they did amputations anymore back then, but, if you have this army doctor who's going to pull a bullet out of your leg, you give the guy heroin. Right? So that would be a use of it that is, not necessarily horrible, but when this guy here says, oh my goodness, if I sell heroin, as like a drink, I will be rich. So this is like, more people are working, we have more people manufacturing this heroin than we've ever had before. The unemployment, is very low and everyone's manufacturing the heroin. We're going to earn a lot of money. So this is kind of, that type of language, that's where it's coming from. Okay. What else? You have, this was largely, profit driven. These people have said, this is how we can earn money is by preying upon this part of the human, personality. What else? This, this idol, musicians and actors is largely created by, research on how to capture human admiration with purpose of profit. So everything, this is, just, I'll stop here for now. Just knowing Donnie, talking to him, these are all the things he talks about as being the worst imaginable things that exist in the world. These are all the things he says are the absolute worst. Okay, so all of these things were created purely to get more money. So the only reason any of these things were done was to get more money for the people who were manufacturing them. So you say the love of money is the root of all evil. Right? So what you say is, more people are working. This is the key for personal profit. How do we, and we know it's for personal profit because they want tax breaks. And they don't want to use the money they're earning to provide for these government benefits for people. So they're working for personal profit than ever before. So if we say, raise taxes, provide welfare, now what this becomes is people working to provide for others. When you remove the welfare and you remove, the taxes, it goes back to people working for personal profit, largely, right? So what you say is, how do we turn this work into something good? Right? So we say tax, provide welfare. Right? So what we've done is we've taken this evil, motivation of people, where they just want to earn profit for themselves. And if people are working in manufacturing my product, there's all these people who are unemployed. They could be manufacturing my heroin for me, right? They could be manufacturing my cocaine for me. Why are they unemployed? There's plenty of work to do, right? So just the fact people are doing more work doesn't mean it's a good thing. All these things, you need people to work to manufacture all of these things. Tobacco, alcohol, cocaine, heroin, pornography. All of these things require that people are working. So all of these bad things are created by people's desire for money, so then they work and they serve this evil, corrupt person who is manufacturing heroin and cocaine and alcohol and tobacco because they want money for themselves. And what they do is they turn this tobacco guy, this guy's now a billionaire. Right? And the reason he's a billionaire is because you had millions of people who desired money and worked, and now you have, hundreds of millions of people addicted to these tobacco products, and this guy's now wealthy. So we did a damage, we hurt everyone in the country, and we made one guy this huge wealthy billionaire. So this is overwhelmingly negative. Okay, overwhelmingly negative. Overwhelmingly negative impact. Always. Okay, we can see it. It's proven. You can see it's proven, overwhelmingly negative impact always when your desire is to earn money and that's your only motivation. Because then what you say is you throw away, I don't care how many people I'm hurting when I manufacture tobacco. I don't care how many people I'm hurting when I produce all this alcohol. I don't care how many people I'm hurting when I do the cocaine and produce the cocaine and produce the heroin. I don't care how many people I'm hurting when I do that. My only motivation is money. And then you have these horrible things happening in the world, right? So, more people working isn't good. Okay, what is their motivation for working? What is their motivation for working? This is what determines if the work is good. Okay, so if you raise taxes and provide welfare, okay, the people who were motivated by personal gain only will stop working, and this will be better for everyone. Okay, the people motivated by helping others in their work will not, this is the key, will not be persuaded by higher taxes and welfare to stop working. Okay, it is only the people with purely selfish motivation, causing only harm to others, that will be persuaded to stop working, because of more welfare and higher taxes. Right? So, read through this again. Love of money is the root of all evil. Some guy wants to earn profit. He realizes tobacco is addictive. If he manufactures tobacco, lots of people will buy it. He will become wealthy. So these are all the things that, knowing Donnie, speaking to Donnie, these are all the things that he says are horrible about the world: tobacco, alcohol, drugs, pornography, idol worship of musicians and actors. These are all the things he hates the most. All of these things only exist to earn profit, for these wealthy people. It's the only purpose of them. Right? So love of money is the root of all evil. So, if your motivation for working is to provide for others, raising taxes and providing welfare won't stop you from working, because your motivation is to provide welfare. So if we suddenly raise taxes and increase welfare, this will make you more motivated to work if you're already a good person. If you're a bad person, naturally, and I raise taxes and provide welfare, you're less motivated to work because your motivation doesn't come from helping others. So the kinds of people that are going to stop working because we're raising taxes and increasing welfare are the kinds of people that we don't want to be working anyway, because they're doing horrible, horrible things that have an overwhelmingly negative impact on everyone. So in order to counter, to refute this argument, you basically have to say that everything that Donnie has ever believed and said in his entire life is a complete and total lie, and he's completely wrong about everything. And all of these things up here that I'm checking off are actually better for everyone than if they weren't there. It's better for Corey to do cocaine. It's better for Corey to do heroin. It's better for Corey to drink alcohol, smoke tobacco, and watch porn. So unless you believe that those statements are true, then it's impossible for you to argue that just people working more is better, and it's impossible for you to argue that raising taxes and increasing welfare will actually motivate the people who are working for a good reason to stop working. Right? So the only people that will be motivated to stop working by raising taxes and increasing welfare are these evil people that we don't want to be working anyway. Right? So the idea that raising taxes and increasing welfare is somehow bad for the country, there's no evidence to support this. Okay, the kinds of tobacco companies, they go to China now. Who cares? We banned the import of tobacco. So the only people that this will anger is the people who are manufacturing the tobacco, or the people who are already addicted to the tobacco. Right? So what we did is we said we allow these evil people to earn profit, and then all of our, all these people get addicted, and now they're slaves and they have to go work to feed their addiction. Right? So what happens is, if we raise all the taxes on income, suddenly all these evil people who want to earn profit, their profit is being given back to the poor, and there's something good that's coming out of it. And if it causes them to stop working, that's better, because now there's no more tobacco or alcohol or cocaine or heroin or all these bad things, right? So it's you literally, if they stop working, it's better, because the things that they're working to do are overwhelmingly negative. They're trying to buy more tobacco, they're trying to buy more alcohol or cocaine or heroin, or all these bad things. So these people that are working for evil, it's not bad if they stop working. So what we say is we provide the basic necessities automatically. Right? It automatically provide the basic necessities, which is housing, food is a fork and a knife, housing, food, and then healthcare, or we do a heart. So everyone automatically gets housing, food, and healthcare. Right? So the people that are working, they're trying to get some of these things up here, and we know that now, because they already have the housing, the food, and the healthcare. So if the people who we want to be working, based on Christ's teachings, are the people that want to provide welfare. So if we increase the taxes and we increase the welfare spending, the only people this is going to motivate to stop working are these evil people over here, right? It's the people who are working to provide welfare aren't going to stop working because you increase welfare spending. Okay, that's insane, So there's literally zero bad thing that comes from this, unless you want to say that, it's better, all these things over here are good. right? And they're not. So this is the cure. The cure to getting these people out of our country and making them leave forever is raising taxes and providing welfare, because now all of their work is giving money to the poor, and they're not earning as much money for themselves, so they leave. And this is good, because these people are all evil and corrupt. We don't want them in our country anyway, right? Right? So unless you say that having all these things in our country is good, it's tobacco, alcohol, cocaine, heroin, pornography, this idol worship of actors and musicians, unless you're saying that these people are having a positive impact on our society, then there's no argument for why raising taxes and increasing welfare is somehow bad. Right? So the purpose of your work is to provide for those in need, and that includes yourself, from my perspective, right? So, this is, if we want to get rid of this stuff over here, we need to get rid of this thing that says you're allowed to do, only things for yourself. So if we raise taxes, increase welfare, suddenly all these evil people leave and they go to a different country, and then, we can, go build our own houses and build our own, get our own food, and we don't have to worry about, some guy coming in, and selling cocaine, right? So let's do this way. So if, the population, 330 million in the USA, farm workers, is like 1 to 2 million, something like that, and this feeds everyone easily. You have like mine, maybe like 2 to 3 million workers getting, metals and oils. Vast majority of work is, you have, probably, 1 to 2 million maybe manufacturing, textiles. You have 1 to 2 million, in military or security, and this number could maybe be higher. I don't know what this number actually is. It's probably closer to this, 4 to 5, right? So this is, so I forgot about, so what I know about this medical clinic nearby, for every one doctor, there's about 50 patients. So this 330 million, there's also, so for one physician, there's 50 patients. The physicians are doctors and master's degrees, right? So you have, 330 divided by 50 is 33 divided by 5, right? So 6, it's about, 6.7 million in, medical field. But then you include the dentists. The dentists is closer to like one dentist for every, 200. So there's about, there's maybe 2 million dentists. So we go up to, 8. And then you say there's, there's maybe one therapist for every, 400, so let's say it's about 10 million in the medical field approximately, right? So let's add the high estimates, so 10, 5, 2, 3, so 5, 7, 10, right? 17, 22. So you have about 22 million essential workers. Right, so this is essentials. You need food, you need healthcare, you need, I forgot, construction. So from what I understand, you have a group of about 5 guys, working full time, can build a house in 1 to 2 months. So every house, depending on the size of the house, so like if you say, 5 guys can build a house in 1 to 2 months, realistically, if I'm doing, the only job that I'm doing is building my own house, I can probably, and it's provided that I have all of the equipment that I need to build. You know, I have all of the, you know, the tools that I need. You know, I can probably do it in a year. You know, so 1 year out of 80, so that's like 1 over 80. You know, 1 over 80, you know, times 330 million, you know, is about, you know, this is about the number of construction workers approximately that we need. So you remember the doctors were 1 over 40, and that was 6.7. So it's about 13.4. 13, or whoops, I did it wrong. It's the opposite. So 6.7, so it's like 3.35, you know, million construction to make sure everyone has housing. Right? So then you also need to build the pipes and all the electrical cables. So we can probably just double this number, and that's more than sufficient. It's probably extra. This is probably enough. So what do we have? You know, metal oil workers, feeding, you know, textiles, military, you know. So what we say is we want more weapons, so let's put this 4 to 6. You know, so now we can build weapons. We have, you know, we added another 2 million metal workers. You know, now we can manufacture weapons. You know, we add, so let's, if we put this up to 10 to 12, you know, now everyone can have, you know, 20 different pairs of shoes. But this is not necessary, right? So this is not required. It's leisure. It's work for leisure, purely, right? So what we say is, you know, we want flak jackets for our military. We want flak jackets for our citizens, you know, so we add another million. You know, we have, some of the citizens are in the winter. It gets cold, you know, so let's add another million. You know, we have more clothes now, right? So we've upped, you know, all these numbers. You know, it's probably upped them by more than we need to, but you know, so 10, 6, you know, 5, 4, so this is 8 plus 9, you know, 17, you know, plus 10, 27, plus 6, 33. So we have about 33, you know, million essential workers, right? So this is about 1/10 of US population actually has to work, you know, to keep everyone safe and provided for. And this includes the military. You know, we wouldn't have to make any cuts to military. Right, so this is like, you say, you know, the average, you know, the average profit earned, you know, by any business is anywhere from 20 to 40%. You know, so for Corey, it costs about $10,000 a year to pay for everything that he has right now. So you take about 40% off of that, you know, it's 6,000 to 7,000, which is almost exactly, you know, 10% of national average salary. So if you take away the profit from the companies, this is, you know, and I'm only paying for the exact cost that the same companies paid the cost to actually build and manufacture the things I need. It's about 6,000 to 7,000 a year. So that's almost 10% of the national average salary. So what we say is we have 33 million essential workers out of 330 million, you know, actual citizens. So we say that, you know, if we have 33 million essential workers, everyone will have, you know, about the same thing that I have, you know, and it will cost them about this much. It's about the dollar value of it. So if you multiply this, you know, essential worker count, and you look at the amount of things that I have here versus, you know, the actual number of people working in the country is closer to 170 million or less. And this creates an economy that results in, you know, $60,000 to $70,000 per citizen, you know, per year. Maybe it's less. It varies. This would be a value that is, you know, it's based on. This would include things like. So this is the before tax value. So this means this would, you know, if the taxes count towards the fact that you have roads and you're allowed to go to a public park. You know, there's a traffic light, there's a police officer that you can call if someone breaks in your house. Things like this, right? You know, you have all kinds of things. So, you know, this is kind of, so what we say is, you know, if we have 10 times the workers, you know, you would expect, you know, the amount of things we have to go up, to increase. So you go from this amount that is the, you know, base value if you eliminate all the profit, you know, and it starts to go up to this. When we put more people to work, you know, we tend to have more things, right? So you probably get rid of all of this now. So this is all, you know, I actually, my estimates were quite high. This is far more workers than we would need to give everyone in the country this amount of property. You know, but the reality is, you know, for everyone to just have housing, you know, food, and healthcare, clothing, you know, power, all these things, you know, it's maybe 30 million workers full-time, right? So we have 33 million people, you know, over 40 hours a week. So this means each citizen, you know, including babies, would work 4 hours a week, and we would have all this stuff up here. We'd have all of it. If each citizen, 4 hours a week of work, approximately, right? And this is based on actual values of, you know, to say, you know, how much money do you earn? You know, how many textile workers do we need to manufacture clothes for everyone? You know, does this guy need, you know, 10 different pairs of shirts? You know, he doesn't need them. It's just like a leisure thing. You know, so this is necessities. 4 hours a week of work for each citizen to have, and this includes all military spending. Right? So this is, you know, this included, you know, extra workers for mines, you know, and oil manufacturing. You know, this included, you know, all military personnel. So this 30 million workers, this includes military. Make sense? Includes military. Right, so we say, why do we have so many people working if everyone already has what they need? Because people really don't have to work that much, right? So what we say is half the people in the country are underage or elderly or sick. So this goes up to 8. So for everyone who is healthy and of a working age, 8 hours per week, we get food, you know, healthcare, clothing, power, military, all these things. You know, so we say, why are people working so much? Right, so let's say, you know, we have about 200 million people you know, and they're all paying $200 a month, you know, in entertainment subscriptions, right? They're paying, you know, $200 a month to eat at restaurants. You know, for fine dining. You know, they're paying for, you know, fancy clothes, you know, decorations, jewelry. You know, so the vast majority of the work that is done in the country is for things like this. This is what most of the work is for. Very, 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 very small amount of the work, maybe 1/10 of the work, is done for these things. You know, if you include military, it's maybe 20% of the work is done for the essential things. So 80% of the work being done is for leisure products, you know, and I forgot to include here, you know, cigarettes, you know, alcohol, drugs, you know, prostitutes, you know, pornography, you know, vacation, you know, like concert tickets, things like this. The vast majority of the work is for these things. Overwhelmingly. So this is the reality of the situation. So when the job numbers go up, this stuff isn't affected, okay? Because people are smart enough to know that they need this stuff anyway. You know, so no one's dumb enough to dump these things up here, right? No one's actually that stupid, right? So when the work numbers go up, it means people are buying more of these things. They're buying more of these things. They're buying more of these things. They're buying more of these things and these things and these things. And it's not because we're giving more people these things. So if the job numbers go up, causes more people to have these things, according to Christ's teaching, that is good. If the job numbers going up cause people to get more of these things down here, then it's bad. You know, and you can't just say that jobs are good, not jobs are bad. This is ignorance and insanity. Okay?